Hello. Are you aware of how much the stories you are telling every single day are constructing the dynamics of your reality? They are. My name is Christine Dosty, and I'm the CEO of Sacred Vitality and the founder of the Sacred Mindset Method. And I'm here to talk to you for just a few minutes about the stories that we tell. Recently, I was speaking with one of my clients, and she was talking to me about relationship issues. And then she made this offhand remark about how we grow up to marry our fathers, right? And then we both laughed, that super awkward laugh that comes when you can't stop yourself from actually imagining what that would be like, right? It's a little bit cringy. And I did cringe a little bit, and not just because of that comment, but it made me think of the story that's around it, right? We grew up and marry our mothers if we're men. We grew up and we marry our fathers if we're women, and how we're just perpetuating certain habits and behaviors and patterns that we get ourselves involved with because we just accept what has been handed down to us. It's right up there for me with boys will be boys, or, siblings fight and that's what they do, or money doesn't grow on trees, and all of these statements that I'm not even sure anyone actually thinks about or realizes how deeply they have become embedded in our consciousness, and are in some ways and on very deep levels are influencing the choices that we're making in our lives. Why does this matter to you? Because if you don't like the choices that you're making in your life or how your life is going, then it is time to start to pay attention to the stories and the statements that have been passed down and that just seem, normal, that you have been given and haven't thought about, right? Because we all grew up with these kinds of stories and we all just accept them as true. Without a second's consideration, they weave themselves into our subconscious and they create these entire epic situations in our lives, right? And sometimes they are not helpful. So the thing is, that is the focus here, is that what you were taught is not necessarily the same thing as what will allow you to be successful in your own life. And we don't need to have loyalty per se to the things that we have been taught if they're not serving our best and highest good. What matters most is being successful. And when I say successful, I mean in a way that is defined for you and matters to you. Not what someone else's, not what Aunt Joan's idea of success is, or your mom's, or your dad's, or your brothers, or your siblings, right? And let's be clear. I was raised by parents who were traumatized, and they were traumatized by parents, because they were raised by parents who were traumatized. I mean, if you think about it, we've got the Depression, World War II, Vietnam, all of these things were huge generational, I was going to say carving, but generational forming events that happened, right? And they created mindsets that went with these events and experiences that traumatized them while they were going through it. And because they're trying to keep up or keep alive or keep out of the draft, or, put food on the table or whatever was going on, they're in survival mode and stress mode and doing the best that they can. But they're also passing on these beliefs to us. So when you're feeling that anxiety and you're feeling stress and you're not sure where it comes from, chances are very good that very, very deeply inlaid in you are these kinds of beliefs that induce stress and cause you to feel like, oh my God, am I going to be able to put food on the table? Is something horrible going to happen to me, right? Then you marry that with this worldview that is very mechanical, and science and intellect are more important and honored above all else. And of course, that underlying tone that, like, it's a man's world. So you've got all these layers of things playing on your subconscious mind, and that's playing out in your everyday life. And it is controlling the decisions that you're making and the behaviors that you're expressing and the habits that you're forming and the emotions that you're feeling. So it's high time, if you are not loving how your life is going and you're not feeling successful, then it's time to take a pause, and look at what could have been emotional trauma that is being passed down generationally for you, right? Because when you bring awareness to it and you bring your consciousness to it, then you have choice. And you can decide whether or not this is serving your best and highest good. Maybe it was um, a great family event that you made, something around holiday time, and it's a tradition and that's what you want to keep. However, maybe also at that same traditional holiday moment, there was excessive drinking going on, or Uncle Joe was always cutting Aunt Barb down, or, they're making these digs and cuts, and it wasn't always as great as you remember. It's time to revisit those moments and those experiences and those statements that arise with those and see what's actually still stuck inside you. And because we were never really taught to deal with our emotions, that was always, I know in my house, it was always kind of put off to the side. We solve our problems, we get tough, we handle it, right? We show up, we work, because that's being a good citizen, is being a good worker, supporting others. You're a woman, so it's your job to serve other people. And again, none of that sets you up for success, right? And at least in my house, where I grew up with actual disease and trauma, we found it very difficult to talk about our emotions and deal with them. And so I would like to take the old stories of how we just bury it or ignore and override and bring in a new story for myself and my children that you need to feel to heal. Very simple, right? But you need to learn. We're all here. And when you're in my world, it's learning how to embrace your emotions, honor your emotions, allow yourself to feel your emotions, and process your emotions. This is something our prior generations, for the most part, and culturally speaking, is not something that was honored or delved into. But it's time now. It's time to embrace the woo-doo. And what I mean by the woo-doo is the woo of the emotional intuition, creative side, and the doing, that, that yin and yang that's happening, and the practice of processing emotions and bringing the logic and the intellect to bear on the emotions, and bringing the consciousness, to raise the consciousness to see how we feel in these situations. So again, we have choice, and we're not stuck simply reacting to our environment and what's going on. It does not have to be hard. It doesn't have to be overwhelming to deal with emotions. It might be a little scary at first, especially if it is new. But if you are at all struggling with overwhelm, anxiety, fatigue, adrenal failure, feeling burnt out, angry, and yelling at people, or not feeling self-confident, you don't have your voice, and you don't know what your vision is for your life, and you don't even know what your values are or who you are, then my suggestion to you today is to look into the statements that you just say without thinking, and follow them all the way back to their root, and see where it came from, how it got into your body, and if it is worth it to you to keep it. So that's just a tip for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, my name is Christine Dossi. I am the founder and CEO of Sacred Vitality and the Sacred Mindset Method. Join me again next time for more tips. Have a wonderful day.